Hey, what's up everybody? Joe Skipper here with Skipper Realty Group, brokered by eXp Realty, serving the Wilsonville community and the Willamette Valley areas. And today we're gonna talk about the spring market, but I'm doing something a little bit different with this one. I've got two audiences I wanna speak to specifically today. So if you're thinking about selling your home this spring or summer, the first half of the video is for you, and I'm gonna give you some tips that most sellers aren't even thinking about yet, so stay tuned to that. And then if you're a buyer trying to figure out what the spring market is going to look like and how to actually win in it, stick around for the second half because I've got you covered as well. And drop a comment below and tell me which one you are, a buyer or a seller, or maybe you're both. But let's get into it. Okay, sellers, time to talk. Spring is traditionally the hottest selling season of the year, and 2026 is hopefully shaping up to be no different. There is more uncertainty in the market over the last few weeks, but we hope that buyer demand is still coming back strong. Mortgage rates are starting to settle a little bit compared to where they were at their peak years ago, and we're seeing motivated buyers out here in the Willamette Valley than we've seen in a while. But here's the thing, and I want you to really hear this. The sellers who win this spring are not going to be the ones who just slap a sign in the yard and they hope for the best. The buyers coming through your door right now are the most informed buyers we've ever seen. They've done their research online before they even schedule a showing. They know what your neighbors sold for. They know what updates were done, and they're not afraid to walk away from the deal. So today I wanted to give you some tips that are actually gonna move the needle a little bit. Some of them are things your neighbor probably isn't doing, and that's exactly what's gonna make the difference in this particular market. So my tip number one is I'm gonna start with something that might surprise you. Stop thinking about the big renovations. Now, I talk to sellers all the time who wanna gut their kitchen and redo their bathrooms right before they list. Look, I get it. You want top dollar, but here's the reality. Large renovation projects rarely give you exactly your money back at the closing table. A full kitchen remodel could cost you $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. You might get 50, 20 back in value. That math just doesn't work out. What does work though is the small stuff. A fresh coat of paint. And I mean this, a fresh coat of paint on your interior's walls can add thousands of dollars to your sales price. We're talking a potential bump of $5,000 to $10,000 to $12,000 on a median priced home just from painting the interior. That's one of the highest returns on investment that you can make before you list. Other things are clean the grout, new light fixtures, a new front door, or at least freshly painted one, new cabinet hardware in the kitchen. These are the things that buyers notice, and these are the things that make the home feel well cared for without you having to spend a fortune. So the rule of thumb that I give every seller that I work with, before you spend $1 on your home, call me first, because I'll tell you what's exactly worth doing in this market and what isn't worth doing. That conversation can save you a lot of money. Seller tip number two is curb appeal is your silent sales rep. Here in the Willamette Valley, spring is really beautiful. The trees are blooming, things are green, buyers are out driving neighborhoods. Your curb appeal has never mattered more. Think about this. Nearly half of buyers say they form their opinion of the home the moment they pull up to the curb. Before they walk through the door, before they see your kitchen, before they see anything, that first visual impression sets the emotional tone for the entire showing. So here's your spring curb appeal checklist. You want to power wash the driveway, walkway, and exterior of the home. You want fresh mulch in the flower beds. It's really inexpensive and it makes everything look intentional. Pops of color near the front door, flowers, potted plants, a wreath. Clean the gutters. Buyers notice this, and so do home inspectors. Trim back any overgrown bushes or trees that are blocking windows or pathways. And if your front door is looking a little tired, a fresh coat of paint in a bold but tasteful color, it really does wonders. And one thing that not enough sellers are thinking about right now are twilight photography. When we go to list your home, getting a photo at dusk with interior lights on and the landscaping all lit up, that image gets dramatically more views online than a standard daytime exterior shot. We're talking significantly more eyes on your listing right from day one. Now that's not a luxury anymore, that's just a good strategy. Seller tip number three is your online listing is your first actual showing. This is the one that separates the sellers who get multiple offers from the sellers who sit on the market. Buyers in 2026 are doing the vast majority of their shopping online before they ever call an agent or they book a showing. Your online listing is the first showing, and if it doesn't grab them, they swipe right past it. Here's what a competitive listing looks like today, and what I bring to every home that we list as a company. Professional photography, not phone photos, not photos the listing agents snap themselves. Professional photography. Listings with professional photography sell faster for the significantly more money. The data is just overwhelming on this. Drone or aerial footage, especially here in Oregon, where we've got beautiful landscapes, neighborhoods tucked into hills, proximity to the water, proximity to parks. Aerial footage gives the buyers context and makes it your listing stand out in a sea of flat interior shots. Properties with drone photos just sell faster. 3D virtual tours. Here's a stat I love. 72% of buyers say a 3D tour gives them a better feel for the space than photos alone. 67% said they wish more listings had them. A 3D tour filters out the tire kickers and brings in serious buyers who already feel connected to the home before they walk in the door. Homes with 3D tours sell up to 31% faster. Video walkthroughs. Listings with video get over 400% more inquiries than listings without. 400%. That's not a typo. When I list your home, all of this is part of what we do, because in this market, presentation is not optional, it's everything. Seller tip number 4 is the AI staging secret that most sellers don't really know about right now. Okay, this is one that I genuinely get excited about because most sellers really have never even heard of this. So say you've got a home that's vacant. Maybe you've already moved out, or you've got rooms with furniture that's a little dated or personal. Well, there's a tool that's completely changed the game for listings, and that is AI virtual staging. What this means is that through AI technology, we can take photos of your empty, outdated rooms and digitally furnish them with modern, current, on-trend furniture or decor for a fraction of the cost of physical staging. And really, these images are shockingly realistic. Buyers don't see an empty room that feels cold and small. They see a beautiful, warm, inviting space, and they can picture themselves living in your home. So I looked at research from Redfin, and it shows that staged homes sell 73% faster than vacant ones. And with AI staging, you get that same benefit without moving a single piece of your furniture. Now, onto the 2026 design trends that are actually resonating with buyers right now. Forget the stark whites, the cool grays that were everywhere a few years ago. Buyers today want warm, earthly tones. Think warm whites, sage green. They want layered textures. They want homes that feel lived in and human, not a sterile showroom. So if your current decor leans heavily toward one personal style, this is something worth talking about before we go to the market. Seller tip number 5 is price it right from day one. I saved this one for last in the seller section because it might be the most important thing I say in this entire video. Price it right from day one. Nationally, about 20% of sellers had to reduce their price in 2025. 1 in 5. And here in Oregon, we've got a market that's more balanced than it was in 2021 and 2022, which means buyers have options. They have more homes to compare yours to. And when a home sits on the market for 30, 45, 60 days without an offer, buyers start to wonder what's wrong with it. Price reductions can signal desperation. They bring in lower offers, not necessarily higher ones. The sellers who win are the ones who price based on current data, not what your neighbor sold for a year and a half ago, not what Zillow says, not what you hope to get. Current comparable sales, current buyer activity, current market conditions in your specific neighborhood. That's what a comparative market analysis, or a CMA, is for. And I do them every single time before we list. If you want to know what your home is worth in this market right now, DM me or drop your information in the link below and I'll get one done for you. No cost, no pressure. All right, those are my top tips for sellers heading into this spring market. Real quick before I move on, I do have a resource I send out to all my seller clients that has everything from step-by-step home prep guide to my preferred vendors for getting your home ready to local market data and links all in one place. If you want access to that, shoot me a DM and I'll send it right over. It's free. It's been a game changer for a lot of the people I work with. Okay, buyers, your turn. Let's talk about what you're walking into this spring. So first things first, I want to acknowledge something. The last few years have been genuinely tough for you as a buyer. High interest rates, low inventory, bidding wars, waiving everything just to get an offer accepted. It was crazy. But I want to tell you something positive, and I mean this sincerely, is 2026 is different. Not a completely different market. I'm not going to oversell it to you, but the walls that have been stopping buyers are coming down. And if you go into the spring with the right strategy, you can absolutely win. Let me break down what you're actually walking into, and then I'll give you specific moves that you're going to give you an advantage in this market. So here in Oregon and across the Willamette Valley, here's the real picture right now. Mortgage rates have eased up from their peak. We've seen rates dip to some of the lowest levels in the last few years, which directly translates to more buying power for you. On a home in the mid 400s to 500,000s, for example, which is right around where a lot of the valley is sitting by an average, is even a small rate drop can mean several $100s less per month. So that's real money for you. Inventory is improving. We're not back to pre-pandemic levels, but we have more homes coming to market than we did a year ago. You have more choices, more homes to compare, more sellers who are realistic about pricing. And bidding wars, they're not gone, but they're not the same animal they were in 2021. Well-priced homes in great locations can still move fast and see competition. I want to be honest with you about that. But the days of waiving every contingency and offering $80,000 over asking price just to have a shot, that's not the environment most buyers are in right now. The bottom line is this is one of the most promising spring markets for buyers in several years. But promising doesn't mean easy. You're going to need a strategy. So my tip number 1 is get pre-approved before you do anything else. I know you've heard this before, but I'm going to tell you why it matters more right now than it has in a while. Spring is when buyer activity traditionally surges here in the Willamette Valley. March, April, May. The competition picks up fast. And what's happening right now is that there are a lot of buyers who sat on the sidelines in 2024 and 2025 waiting for the rates to come down or the market to shift. These buyers are all waking up at the same time this spring, so that pent-up demand can be really real. So here's the thing, when a good home hits the market at the right price, it can still move within days, and if you're not pre-approved, when that happens, you are out of the game before it ever got started. So get pre-approved, not pre-qualified, pre-approved before you ever step foot in a home. Talk to a lender, know your numbers, know what you can comfortably afford, and have that letter ready to go. And on the topic of financing, there are really creative strategies now worth knowing about. One that I love for buyers in this rate environment is the 2-1 buy down. This is where the seller agrees to pay a concession that temporarily lowers your interest rate for the first 2 years. Now, it's been a popular negotiation tool here in Oregon, and it can dramatically reduce your payment early on while rates hopefully continue to ease. So ask your lender about this to find out details. Tip number 2 is to stop waiting for the perfect rate. I hear this all the time. I'm just gonna wait until the rate comes down more, and I get it. I completely understand the logic, but here's what the data tells us actually happens. Every time the rates dip, even slightly, buyers come back into the market, and when more buyers enter the market, home prices then respond. So the home that you're waiting to buy at a lower rate is potentially being bid up while you wait. The phrase going around in the mortgage world right now is marry the house, date the rate, meaning buy the right home for you and your life and refinance when rates drop further. Now, personally, I don't like that term, but waiting for the perfect rate and missing the right home is a trade-off that almost never feels good in hindsight. Now, I'm not saying buy a home that you can't afford. Please do not do that. But if the payment works at today's rates and the home checks your boxes, the decision to wait is worth thinking through carefully. Here in Oregon, home values are still projected to appreciate modestly this year, so waiting could also mean paying more for the same home 6 months from now. Tip number 3 is use the negotiation window that exists right now. Here is a buyer's advantage that is specific to this market and this moment, and it won't be there forever. In a balanced market like we're in right now, sellers are more open to negotiation than they have been in years. Not every seller and not every home, but there are real opportunities here that didn't exist when the market was on fire. Specifically, closing cost credits. You can negotiate with the seller to cover a portion of your closing costs. This keeps more cash in your pocket at close, or it can be used towards a rate buy down like we had talked about. Inspection contingencies. In 2021, buyers were waiving inspections left and right just to compete. Please don't do that now. The market doesn't require in most cases. Inspection protects you from buying someone else's problem. Use it. Repair credits. If the inspection turns up items, you can negotiate a credit rather than asking sellers to do repairs themselves. A credit is often cleaner and puts money directly in your pocket to handle them the way you want to handle them. Time and flexibility. Sometimes sellers need a quick close. Sometimes they need extra time. Understanding what matters to the seller gives you leverage even when price isn't the main negotiating tool. The buyers who win in this market are the ones who know which levers to pull. That's exactly where having the right agent in your corner makes a massive difference. Tip number 4 is know your neighborhood before you start shopping. Oregon is hyper-local. I say that all the time, and it's true. The Willamette Valley, whether we're talking Wilsonville, Lake Oswego, Salem, Kaiser, every pocket has its own micro market. Days on market are different. Price per square foot is different. What's appreciating and what's flattening out, it's different neighborhood by neighborhood, not necessarily city by city. So before you start going to the open houses and falling in love with homes, spend some time understanding the areas that you're interested in. What are homes actually selling for versus what they're listed at? How long are they sitting? What's driving demand in that specific area? This is where working with a local agent who knows the valley, not just someone licensed in Oregon, but someone who actually knows these markets, changes everything. I can tell you things about specific streets, specific subdivisions, specific school zones that you will never find on Zillow. That local knowledge is the difference between a good purchase and a great one. Tip number 5 is don't skip the vision. Buy the potential, not just the present. What I mean by that is this is more of a mindset tip, and I think it's one of the most valuable things I can share with first-time home buyers especially. The buyers who do the best in a spring market are the ones who can see past surface level cosmetics and recognize a home's actual potential. Ugly carpet? That's maybe $3,000 to fix. Dated paint? Same thing. A kitchen that's just a little tired? New hardware and a coat of cabinet paint can transform it. The things that are hard and expensive to change, location, lot, layout, bones of the home, proximity to schools and commutes, those are what you're actually buying. The stuff on the surface, it's really just noise. Buyers who only want move-in ready in a competitive price range are often going to be looking for a long time. Buyers who can see potential, who can look past the seller's taste and see the space, they find better deals and build more equity. Train your eyes for that. And one more thing before I wrap up, I built out a resource specifically for buyers that I send to everyone I'm working with. It's got a home search link tied directly to the MLS so you're seeing real listings in real time. It's also got a mortgage calculator, my preferred local lenders and inspectors, buyer's guides, community info for the neighborhoods that I serve. It's basically everything you need in one place to go through this process as informed as possible. So just shoot me a message and I'll get that over to you. It's completely free. All right, that's a wrap on the spring 2026 market breakdown. Whether you're a seller trying to maximize what you walk away with or a buyer trying to finally make your move, I hope this gives you something real and actionable to work with. If you found this helpful, go ahead and hit that like button. It genuinely helps more people find this content, and subscribe if you want to see market updates every single month for the Willamette Valley. I put these out consistently so that you always know what's happening locally. And if you're ready to start a conversation, whether that's getting a market analysis on your home, getting connected to a lender, or just talking through your specific situation, my information is below. I'm a real person, I answer my own messages, and there's zero pressure. I just love this stuff, so I will see you on the next one.